Alright, so today I wanted to make a video on two different topics within the same topic. And basically, the whole point being is I made a video about this the other day, but yesterday there was a rally in Virginia where about 22,000 people turned out to protest the potential new gun laws being put in Virginia. And this has been a very hotly contested thing down in the States recently. And a ton of support came out yesterday protesting against this pretty draconian and anti-constitutional law. And the main point I wanted to get at as far as this goes is that in Alberta, I mean in Canada, we have the Wexit movement going on right now. And I don't want to make it sound too dreary or down on the Wexit, but the difference between the States and Canada, and this is something that when you talk to Canadians about the States, is that Canadians have this idea, like they look down on the States for whatever reason. I mean, I understand the reasons. They want to feel superior, even though, I mean, anyone looking at it in the right mind knows that the States are way better. And when it comes to this kind of stuff. And in Canada, when our rights are being threatened and when our livelihood is being threatened, like in Alberta, I mean, the Wexit rallies have been decent, but they should be bigger. Like we should be able to have, 10,000 people showing up at these rallies. I mean, the States you got 22,000, but again, the States is a little more densely populated. Now, Virginia isn't a super densely populated state, but still relatively. And like I said, the Wexit rallies have been decent, but if we really want to get our voices heard, we need to really stand up. And that's it's not really happening to the extent that I would think. Now, I would say part of that reason is that there's such a large percentage of the people that are just so asleep and brainwashed that it doesn't matter how bad things could get. I mean, the federal government could take 90% of Alberta's taxes and keep it for themselves and give none of it back. And you'd still have the vast majority of people that still support Alberta staying in Canada would still support it. Like I said, there's almost nothing that the federal government could do that would get a lot of these people to support leaving. Like honestly, that's just how brainwashed and dumbed down a lot of people are. No, that's sad, but like I said, if we really want to make our voices heard, we need to be doing stuff like this. We need to be having thousands of people showing up to these rallies and for it to stay peaceful too. That's the other thing too, is it is a very peaceful rally. There was no major incidences, I mean even minor incidences from what I've seen. And like I say, if the Wexit movement is going to gain more steam, which I think it's gained a decent amount of steam, like I said, I don't want to crap on it too much because I think it is a relatively popular movement, but I think it could be a lot better. And like I say, in Canada and in Alberta, we need to be having this kind of stuff. And in the end, I don't think it's going to work out. I mean, I don't want to seem too pessimistic, but I think that there's going to be too much pressure from the feds, too many dumbed down, brainwashed people, and it's not really going to go anywhere. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't fight like hell. Like in the end, the only way you can come away with this without not feeling guilty is to give it all you can. Like for the people that are half-assing it, like when it's all said and done, I mean you better be pretty mad and down on yourself that you didn't do more because Canada is going down a very bad path, and if Alberta, leaves, then we're not going to face that that downturn that Canada's going to face at some point because it's only a matter of time until Canada has a pretty major recession and maybe the whole country goes belly up. And I mean the good news for that is that when it returns, all of the people, a lot of the people dependent on upon government to get by will probably leave, or you know I don't want to say it, but a lot of them probably would die off if it gets bad enough. I know it's terrible to say, but it's the truth. And that's kind of what will happen. So the whole point being from this point is that if the Wexit movement wants to keep growing, we need to be doing stuff like this. And like I said, I know there's been some pretty good crowds at some of these movements, or at some of these rallies, but it still should be bigger, especially in Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer, the more populous areas. Um, the other point I wanted to touch on briefly is the gun control aspect of this. A ton of these people were concealed carrying, were open carrying, and yet there was no shootings. Like this leftist theory of, oh, if there's tons of guns around, people are going to be getting shot left, right, and center. Well, there was thousands of people with guns. I mean, I know everyone didn't have one, but a ton of people had them, and yet no one got shot. Again, because the overwhelming majority of gun owners are law-abiding citizens. In Canada, PAL holders are less likely than cops to get convicted of crime, and yet no one acknowledges that point. No one says, yeah, we should restrict cops' ability to have guns. Well, no, it makes no sense. And like I say, it flies in the leftist theory of more guns, more crime, looser gun control, more crime. So they're never going to acknowledge that. But yeah, the whole point being is that where is all the crime? I thought, like I said, I thought more guns means more crime. And it doesn't happen. It didn't happen. This is just another example of it going, very good. And the mainstream media, you could tell, was hoping that something happened. Um, I'm guessing Antifa didn't show up because whenever they show up to something, they cause violence, and they must not have because there was no violence. And I think they didn't show up. Even Antifa is smart enough to know that if they would have showed up and started, beating people, they're going to get shot, and rightfully so. So that's kind of the other thing too. The other thing that was pointed out too is a lot of these people were painted as racist, and that's just the leftist theory is that they always want to smear people, and whenever they're smearing, it means that they don't have a good argument because if they had a good argument, they'd just make the argument. Like if you had a good argument, you would just make the argument, and any rational person would be like, hey, that's a better argument. I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna, side with you. But they don't do that because they don't have a better argument. So, and that's kind of the leftist theory with everyone is that if they can somehow paint you as a racist, then they've just won. They've won the debate. They've won. They've made their points, and debate over basically because you're a racist. But a lot of these people were black. I seen tons of black people there. Are they black white supremacists? Like, is that literally what you're calling for? That there's literally hundreds of people there that are black that are white supremacists? Like, that's absolutely insane to suggest. So, and I know the CBC suggested that too. So, I mean, that just goes to show just how stupid and dumbed down the CBC is. And like I say, anyone who still considers them to be impartial and honest news is like, I don't even have words for you. Like, North Korean state broadcasting is comparable to CBC at this point. But anyway, I think I got the points across pretty good. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.